We have here a 2002 Volkswagen Jetta TDI. It's a 1.9 liter ALH engine with automatic. And the customer brought me this car from Florida, and we worked on the transmission for a little while, and he ended up with a used transmission. There was nothing fixable about it, so we put a used transmission in it for him. And there is a secondary problem he's having us look at. The glow plug light is flashing, and the ABS light is on and flashing. Let's take a look at it. Oh, I forgot to mention the immobilizer light's flashing also. That'll probably be the subject of a different video. And you can't see the glow plug light flashing just yet, but it will start flashing eventually. Hopefully I won't have to drive it to show you. There it goes. So, the glow plug light flashing never indicates a problem with the glow plugs themselves. It's almost always either the brake switch or a problem relating to the brake switch, like LED tail lights put in there, or a problem with the injection pump. The computer considers that more important than just a normal trouble code like a glow plug trouble code or an EGR related trouble code. So it flashes that because it feels like it's a safety related issue. You may remember Priuses that used to do wide open throttle accelerations and kill people. I think it's along the same lines. It wants the brake switch to work in order to do self-diagnostics on itself, in order to make sure it's safe for the people to drive the car, since this is a drive-by-wire car, meaning it's all electronic to give it throttle. Obviously the brake light's flashing also. The immobilizer light, this car's had an immobilizer delete performed. We may disable that light for the customer. But we're going to address this glow plug flashing light. That does indicate there's a trouble code, so we'll get it scanned and see what trouble code's in it. Okay, let's see what trouble codes are in here. Brake switch implausible. Working on the flashing glow plug light, which is a trouble code in the engine computer right now, and that's for the brake switch. And I'll show you the, probably got to walk over to the car. Yeah, let's walk over to the car. Okay, so a good diagnostic process, anytime you have a trouble code or something that relates to the engine computer, is to check fault codes. And then you always want to look at some type of measuring blocks that look at something that relates to it. Now, obviously we have brake switch here, and the brake switch is located in group 7 or 6, and that relates to cruise control stuff. And so this is brake pedal monitoring right here, and with VADCOM, when you highlight over, it shows you what each field does. So this bottom one here, the third field where the 1 is, should show 1 when the brake switch F is closed. And the one right above that, the middle field where it shows 1, the brake pedal switch should go open, and so that should change to a 1 when it's open. And based on previous knowledge, both those two fields on the right should change to a 1 when I step on the brake. Now the clutch pedal 1, this is an automatic car, so there is no clutch pedal, so that will never change state on an automatic car. So I'm going to step on the brake, and you should see these two change to 1, and then when I release the brake, they should change back to 0. So stepping on the brake, you can see they both change to 1, and then releasing the brake. Now it looks like that first one is stuck. Once I stepped on it, it seemed to have stuck, and I stepped on it again. There's my and I stepped on it again, and it changes to 1, and that the one farthest to the right, that digit farthest to the right, seems to be stuck on 1. Now if I step on it a few times here, it never changes back to 0. So I assume that means that that part of the brake switch is sticking. Now I'm going to turn the key off and then turn it back on. My battery's really dead on this computer. I hope it don't die on us. So I'm going to click done, go back in and see if we can repeat this behavior. to group 6. And see, now that I've reset the key, it's back at 0 again on that first digit. And I'm going to step on the brake pedal, and both digits change to 1. And when I release the brake pedal, that first digit stays at 1. One thing you could take into consideration here is that the brake lights work. Let's go to the back of the car. Now, they don't seem to be stuck on. Hey, Bob, can you give me a hand? Just step on the brake for me.
All right.
Now, you can see all 3 lights are working. Release. Step again. Release. So, let's take a print schematic and look at the circuit. Okay, I printed a wiring schematic on this Jetta. FYI, I can tell you right now, a brake switch is probably going to fix this. In the do-it-yourself world, you'd probably not even go this far. You'd probably just put a brake switch in it and hope. But in the as an automotive professional, I like to do an actual diagnosis. I want to actually know that it's going to fix it. LED taillights can cause this issue, but this car doesn't seem to have any problems with the brake lights. So probably it needs a brake switch. The brake switches were a chronic failure item early on, but they seem to have gotten better over the years. We want to diagnose it and be for sure when we talk to the customer. This guy's already spent a little chunk of money on the transmission, so we're doing this diagnosis for him at no charge, but I would still want to be right. So I printed a schematic for the cruise control, and the brake switch is pictured right here. You can see it has 2 switches. One of them is normally closed, and one of them is normally open. So one of them is powered directly from the fuse here, the brake switch, and the other one is powered through a relay and then through a fuse. I doubt it's a power system problem, but we could get to this real easy. But the reason for 2 switches is so that it's able to diagnose that it works. If this switch is closed, then the computer should see this switch open, and if this switch is open, then it should see this one closed. And so anytime they don't agree, it's implausible, and so it'll trigger that trouble code. And we could see that they didn't agree when one of the fields in the data field showed 0 and the other showed 1. They should almost always match each other. And you can see here that it does nothing after the switch, but goes straight to the computer there. Go ahead and highlight this with my highlighter. And then this one goes straight to the computer also. And that, of course, says diesel direct fuel injection control module, which is the engine computer. So the problem here is this schematic doesn't show anything relating to the brake lights, and obviously the brake lights have to come off this switch somewhere. So I've printed a second circuit for the brake lights, and you can see down here the high mount brake light, which is the 3rd brake light. Supposed to be an arrow I'm drawing there, and that's that guy right there, the 3rd brake light. And then if you follow it up, it branches from there over to the tail light where this brake light is, and it branches over here to this tail light where this brake light is. So that says right tail light, and that says left tail light. So, and these do go, if you follow it up, it does go up to what it calls the brake light switch. And it's powered by fuse 13. Now over here, our brake light switch goes up and is powered by fuse 13. Now this switch doesn't show 2 segments, but since it has a dotted line around it, that means it's an incomplete diagram. And this has a solid line around it, that means it's a complete diagram. So this is only showing the circuit necessary to power the brake light. But there should be a branch off. At some point, probably right here, where this dot is, there should be a branch coming off, and it's a cruise control circuit. And on this schematic, here after there's a dot right there. There should probably be a branch off right there saying exterior lighting circuit. But we just have to know and understand those things are omitted sometimes. But so I think we understand what's going on. this switch is working, this switch is not. It sticks in the off position, or it sticks after the clutch is stepped on. Probably a new switch would fix it, but it'd be nice to see that actually happen. So we can access that brake switch pretty easy. We got to access it to change it anyway. So, and we can check for voltage here, check for voltage here. We could back probe right here and check that voltage happens when we step on it and goes away when we don't, and we should see the inverse on this one right here. So I think that's what we're going to do. Another easy check would be just to jump voltage from there to there, and we should be able to see on the scan tool watching VAGCOM that switch changes state when we do so. Same thing right here. Now, once again, a brake switch is probably going to fix this car. And I have parts cards here right now. I could just grab one and slap it in and see if it fixes it. But we'll go ahead and do the exercise just to make sure our diagnostic skills are up to par. Let's see what happens. There's our brake switch right there, the green part. And it's hard to see the wiring because that vent is in the way. But it ain't that hard to access. I'll get in there and back probe it. Okay, I'm going to start off with the basics. I'm going to check power on this red and brown, and then on this blue and yellow. Hope you can see that meter okay. And we'll go for that red and brown first. Okay, there is our red and brown. You can see there's 11.7 volts. So now we'll move over to the blue and yellow. And we have 11.7 volts there also, so basically 12 volts. Now we'll move over to the red and black coming out of the switch, and then after that the white and yellow. Now we're going to check power on the white and yellow. And it has 12 volts. And I step on it, it has 0 volts. Release it, 12 volts. Step on it, 0 volts. Release it, 12 volts. Now that's the way it should work. Now let's move on to the red and black. And for some reason it has 5 or 6 volts there. That's definitely not right. And I'm going to step on it. It gets 12 volts. Release it, it has 5 or 6 volts. Step on it, 12 volts. Release it. Oh, my pin fell out. But that's probably the problem. Now, the way we'd confirm that is the problem is if we unplug that pin should go to 0 volts. What seems to be happening is the switch is passing a little bit of voltage through it, although there could be some other issue. That is on the red and black wire, which branches off to our external light circuit. So we could have a lighting problem or a wrong bulb in there or something like that. So we can't rule that out at this point, but at this point I'm going to unplug it and see what happens to that voltage. Okay, so at this point, I have unplugged and back probed, and I still show that 6 volts on there. That probably means this isn't a problem with the brake switch itself, because that 6 volts is coming from somewhere else. Okay, so we've tested here, and we get approximately 6 volts when we should have 0. And this is our lighting circuit. So we kind of need to eliminate this as part of the circuit. And we looked at the lights and they seem to be working. We might take another look. Hey Bob, can you give me a hand with these lights again?
Sure. What would you like, sir?
Just turn the key on.
Okay.
Are you on the brake?
Nope.
Huh. The center tail light is lit up kind of dimly. Go ahead and step on the brake.
Okay.
Well, it lights up brightly when you step on the brake. And then let off.
Okay.
Huh. How did I not notice that before? Anyway, we have a little dim light there. And I don't know what that means. It probably means there's 6 volts there, and that 6 volts is somehow getting through the circuit into the from the exterior light circuit into this circuit here, and the computer sees that 6 volts as leaving the brake switch on. So when it compares the two, it's not it calls it implausible. So the third brake light. Oh, Bob, thank you very much. Turn the key off. You can go.
You're welcome.
So the third brake light is right there, looking to a ground right there. If some other bulb, if this ground was no good and some other bulb had power to it, that might put a little voltage on there and it'd pass through the LED, or would it? An LED is a diode, so it shouldn't pass through backwards. So maybe there's a short 6 volts to this wire here. It's interesting. Maybe we just need to pull that apart and unplug it. There's our plug into it. Unplug that, see if it solves our issue. Probably should have checked voltage on that and not just unplugged it. But so after unplugging the third brake light, I have back probed the red and black wire. Let me turn the key on. That shows 8.6 volts. I step on the brake. 12, 8.6, 12. So by unplugging the third brake light, it made the voltage go up a little bit. Still not sure what our problem is here. So I pulled this out to inspect, and lo and behold, what do I see but LED brake light bulbs. Let me take a look at the other side. And of course the other one's an LED style bulb also. Okay, turn the car on. Now you're not on the brake, right?
I'm not. Brake's not so loose.
Now we've done nothing but turn the car on, and this is lighting up dimly. Now I couldn't see that through the reflector earlier, or maybe this being unplugged is causing that. Let me plug this back in real quick here. Okay, that did make this come back on and that go out. Go ahead and step on the brake. Whoa, that's bright. Okay, take off the brake. Okay, well I wasn't paying close enough attention, because when this is unplugged, get that unplugged, when the third brake light is unplugged, those come on dimly. I'm almost for sure putting the right brake lights in there will fix this problem. Unless there happens to be a bad ground in there somewhere. We'll swap those bulbs out and see what happens. These are 7506 bulbs, by the way. Bob, can you give me a hand again? Got the third brake light plugged in. Bulb over here. Bulb over here. There's 7506 bulbs, by the way. Go ahead and just turn the key on. Okay. And before, when we turn the key on, this third brake light would light up. It's not lighting up now. It would light up dimly. It's not doing that now. Those aren't doing anything. And step on the brakes. Okay, both those are lighting up. Our third brake light is not. What's up with that? Did I not get it plugged in? Step on it. So this isn't working, but if I wiggle the connector, it lights up sometimes, like right then. And so this probably needs a third brake light assembly and the bulbs replaced. Thank you, Bob. So we'll check and see if our 6 volts goes away. And now it shows 0 volts like it should. And 12 volts, 0 volts, 12 volts, 0 volts. And we'll also check our measuring blocks in group 6, field 1, or field 2, to see if it does that same behavior where the 1 would appear and then stay there. Okay, I'll put the VADCOM dongle in there. And we're going back into the measuring blocks group 6, field 2. And that first digit, the digit on the far right was sticking on. So I press it, get 2 1s, let off of it, get 2 zeros. Step on it, get 2 1s, let off of it, get 2 zeros. We push that a few times. And I'm pretty confident that's going to be a fix. Bad part about it is, super cheap fix. But now the third brake light isn't working. And done, go back. And we're going to clear that trouble code. And probably go take it for a road test to make sure it doesn't reoccur. And we'll keep an eye on that glow plug light, make sure it doesn't start flashing. If you learned anything from this video, or if you enjoyed this video, be sure and click the like button. And if you want to donate to the continued production of these videos, visit my website at www.kansascitytdi.com. And if you want to watch some more of my videos, there'll be one here and one up there. And don't forget to subscribe.